Y'all like one?
No, sir.
Any of you?
Actually pro-choice. So,
Please tell me why.
because why? Say somebody gets raped. Why
Okay.
can't we kill them?
Well,
Say somebody gets raped and gets pregnant. Tell me that.
well, the answer is the law of God says you shall not murder.
What if they don't fucking believe in God? What about that?
Well, it doesn't matter. We all believe in God.
No,
We just
I don't.
suppress the truth and unrighteousness.
I don't.
What about rape?
We all do. I just answered the question.
Yeah, no.
But-
No, I said what about rape though? If someone gets raped and they have a child or they have severe health problems. If I can't produce, if I don't have a child, they kill me.
Well, I'm sorry, what's that?
I said I can't have children. I physically can't have children,
Okay.
and I don't believe they're raped who got pregnant. But if I were to actually be able to produce children, it would kill me.
You don't know that. There are women and young
I
women.
have dysfunction where my artery is connected to my uterus, or where my uterus used to be. And if it was still connected to my uterus, it would have blown out my artery and I would have died.
Well, the best thing to do is to care for both the mother and child. There's never a reason to kill a baby, ever. Never. We think that in this culture because we have turned so far away from the law of God that we think we know better than God does. But when God places a child in the body of a mother, of a woman, even a young woman, He does. It's not a mistake. No child, even in the case of rape or incest, the child is not a mistake because God doesn't make mistakes. Yet none of you are mistakes. Nobody at this school is a mistake. Nobody on this earth is a mistake. And no child ever conceived in rape or incest. No child's ever been a mistake. So why do we think we know better than God does? Honestly. I mean, God's perfect. We're not perfect. We're sinful, wicked people. So I mean that. What's that? And you know God is real. I mean, it's common sense. I mean, where did all this come from? God is real. It's common sense that God's real. I mean, I've always known God is real because it's inherent in us to know that there's an intelligent designer out there who made us all, who made you, made me, made all of you, made this world. So why do we say that there is no God? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's because I believe in human evolution.
So how do we all get here? I mean, there's some intelligence somewhere. I mean, you can't have all this creation that came out of nowhere that without any maker at all. That's like saying these cars just happen to appear out of nowhere, no maker, no creator, no intelligent designer.
Well, but that's different because the world is created. Earth specifically was created due to multiple asteroids hitting the Earth and creating this giant fireball that slowly cooled down, and when it cooled down, created steam. And when it created steam, it created basically an ecosystem for the plants that were on these meteors, or the life forms that were on these meteors, to grow in this water after something started landing here. And honestly, we don't know how the world was created.
Well, you're telling me, right? I mean, but I'm wondering how you know any of that you just told me. How do you know any of that's true?
Because if you go back and you look through fossil evidence, like there's fossils that show each process that's going on, and they can make a scientific theory which we can prove in simulated versions of it.
But like, let's just say that what you just said was true. Where all those things, those meteors and everything, someone had to make that. Some designer had to make it. It didn't just come out of nowhere.
Well, it could have.
No, you had to have a maker. Because that's like saying saying this building just popped out of nowhere, no maker, no creator. It doesn't make sense, right?
That's comparing literally a non-living thing to us. That is.
Well, consider this. Every car that's driving by in this building, it far less complex than the human being is, than you are, than I am. Far less complex than DNA, than the human eye. Charles Darwin, he said of the human eye that basically he couldn't explain it. It was so complex. He had no explanation for the human eye. Charles Darwin.
Yeah.
So we can't.
He doesn't have the technologies that we do currently. Because if you think about it, he's in a very archaic world. There's not a lot to see. We know more about the eye than we ever did. We know how colors are basically a lie, how light is all the things that we're seeing currently are just the absence of that color. That's all this is, the absence of whatever color you're seeing.
Do you know what all that should prove? That we have this technology that shows us things that we never saw before. It should show us it shows us the majesty of God. It gives us more proof that God exists. Seriously, I mean, but the fact that we dismiss God, it just shows that we love our sin. Honestly, that's why people say there is no God.
Well, that people don't love their sin.
It is. We love our sin.
The original book was written by a person.
Well, God used people to make it. Yes, human beings.
But people can lie. They are inherently sinful, right?
We are sinful. Yes, from conception, from fertilization.
So that means that people can lie and have deceit, which means even if some of it was true, that means not all of it was true.
Some of what?
Some of the stuff that is written down in the Bible or whatever
Consider the Bible stood the test of time. It is the most hated, the most banned, the most burned, despised, spit upon book in history. No book comes close. It also has the most manuscripts of any book in history. Again, no writing comes close. I mean, it is unique.
Well, the current book that we currently have, though, is not factually true because it has been translated in a way where.
First off,
so have other manuscripts, so have other books, but we trust them for some reason.
They're not all right then. You would have to go to the original one and figure out the translation from somebody who actually knew.
We have.
But we don't.
We've had scholars translate it who knew the original languages, and yet we still don't trust it.
We've seen that there is falsities in what is now in the book.
Right. First off, why are you protesting at a Lincoln High School?
We're not protesting the school. We're here to preach the gospel and to put this Holocaust, the murder of preborn children on display.
That's like saying masturbation is wrong. It's not.
No, it's actually not. Masturbation is not murder. This is murder.
Yeah, it is.
It's sin, but it's not murder.
Well, technically it is because masturbation is the same thing that creates that.
But doesn't necessarily create this.
Semen and egg.
Yeah,
Make
but
a
that
baby.
doesn't.
That's why we're here.
They're all alive still. That semen is alive technically.
Yeah.
Well, you need a sperm and an egg to create a child. Fertilization to take place.
Fertilization hasn't happened yet, guys.
Yeah, no, but it's still
There's no fertilization. It's not a human.
Then how is that a human?
Because it's a fertilized human being.
But then why are you?
But that's why we're here, is to tell people how to be reconciled to God, and to show them what's happening, the greatest injustice in our culture. This is happening in Sioux Falls. It happened this morning.
Okay.
And
People have their own choices. Right?
but then you need to see what that choice is.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of people here who support doing this to children. They need to see it.
Wow. I really don't care.
Well, then that just shows you what this culture has done to your conscience. Most people don't care.
What do you mean by this culture?
What?
You've been saying that, but I have no idea what you're specifying.
What's that?
Because a lot of people believe in separate things, or cultures believe certain things.
Yeah, I know.
But then why are you saying this culture, as like a whole, is saying that is that's the reason why abortions are happening? What is this country?
America, the country that we live in.
Abortions are allowed in hundreds of other countries.
Well, we live in America, so that's what I'm talking about.
If people come here and still think it's okay.
Yeah, they do.
Even if they didn't grow up in this culture, they still think it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, most countries in this world, they permit this to happen to children. It's evil. But we live in America, so I'm talking about America. If I was in a different country, I'd talk about that country. Well, we do have freedoms, but we strip those freedoms away from the preborn for some reason. No. If you murder any of those people, they would be outraged, but not for a preborn child. People say it's your right to murder that person.
Because it's not. Okay, so for a thing that's like that, I guarantee if it was born at this stage, it would not be able to live.
How do you know?
Because it has happened before. Birth before, what's it called?
Oh wait, what stage?
I mean,
The stage you got murdered at.
well, any stage, technically.
Well, children have survived at like 21 weeks old.
I only count it as a real life human being if it can be outside of the woman's body and actually live.
Why? Why is that? Why does birth constitute whether a child is a human being or not? Why is it a birth?
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, what are you saying?
If I'm saying not the birth itself,
Okay.
but if the thing that is inside a woman could be outside a woman and still live, then it is living. If it can't, then it's not.
But why does whether you can live or not outside the womb dictate if you're a human being or not?
Because if you can't, then you'll die anyways.
Well, if you put any of us in outer space, we're gonna die.
Okay.
Does that mean we're not human beings?
No, I'm saying on Earth, where we can live, where we're prospering.
But think about, like, you're saying, okay, and if I'm wrong, just correct me, because I don't want to misquote you. You're saying that whether we can live inside the womb or not, or inside or outside the womb, dictates that we're human beings. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So why is whether we can live in an environment say that if we can't live outside the womb, we should be murdered? I mean, that's like saying that this person can't live off an oxygen tank, so just put a gun to the head and shoot them.
Well,
right?
No, okay.
That is so
Just think about it, because you're saying if a child cannot live outside the womb, it's okay to murder him.
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying exactly. I'm saying
Okay.
that because yes, there are certain problems that we can now help people live with, so they can actually live for longer periods of time.
Okay, so
Yeah.
basically, the human fact, it's a stated fact that if it cannot reproduce, made of one or more cells, I've memorized it, made of one or more cells, can't reproduce, can't breathe, first off, that's an important one. Maybe can't breathe outside the womb if it's on that stage. So, how would that make it?
Well, it's considered living at the moment of fertilization when the sperm fertilizes the egg. That's scientifically proven. That's biologically proven. That at the moment of fertilization, a human being comes into existence. I mean,
How does that work? How do you know it's alive?
well,
Did you ask it?
it's common sense that we begin our life in the womb. I mean,
No. I think that when we are born is when we're alive, or prior, like a month or two before that, because that's when I think somebody is living. When they're actually big enough and able to live. But anything previous before that, if it's a small child, if it can kill the mother or whatever, then I think it's perfectly fine. I don't see a problem with that.
why? Why is it fine?
Because I would rather somebody have their own choice than have to live with the choice that they make.
To live with a choice to murder somebody? To murder a child? Most innocent?
Because if somebody got raped and they didn't know about it, and they finally figure it out that they are now impregnated, I would be fine if that person got abortion if it was incest, because that person doesn't want to live with a memory that they were raped, and that's what caused that child. Not from consensual sex. It was from something that was terrible, and I don't think that anybody, I think anybody has the choice, even if they don't want a child, or they can't have a child because they don't have enough money to, because they're poor or homeless, or whatever. And if they live that child, they just don't want a kid. They just don't want a kid. I think it's up to the person why that person thinks that they should get an abortion. But if you legalize abortion, you're not going to stop abortion. Just the same way that stop guns.
Exactly. That doesn't mean that you make it legal so that they'll do it. No, it's not safe to murder a person. No, I'm talking about the child. It's never safe. Abortion is never safe, ever.
For the thing that is
No,
aborted.
It's not safe ever to. Abortion is never safe because when you're talking about murdering somebody, that's not safe.
Well, that's not.
It's
murdering
safe for the person. It's not safe for the baby. It's safe for the person that is getting the abortion.
Not even
I'm
that,
trying
because
to say
there have been many women who died, many mothers who died from murdering their children.
Well,
Nobody has died from.
They have.
Not that I'm not going to quote that.
They have. I know.
People, of course, people will die from having abortions, but there is still a higher likelihood that somebody will
then stop supporting murdering babies if you want people to live. I mean, honestly.
Okay, so basically what I'm saying here is you're just repeating the same thing over and over again.
And you're not hearing or listening to it. I mean, just listen to God. God put your conscience within you. That tells you this is wrong, this is evil. You know it. You're just suppressing it.
I've never been told by God to say that that's wrong.
No, you know it inherently. You're just suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. You know it.
I don't.
You know this is wrong.